Thank you, Herb. Thank you very much. I've been looking forward to tonight for so many different reasons. The first is really to meet you, to talk with you all in all of our finery. I don't wear a suit very often, but I'm delighted to be wearing one tonight. The second is really seeing the culmination of all our efforts over the last few months to bring this gala together. And I want to give due notice to Susan J. Susan. Susan has been tireless in bringing this all together, and without her, we would not be here. I also want to take my hat off to Patty. And my hat remains off for Brent. Wherever you are, thank you, Brent. And of course, to all the volunteers that make CIR what it is and what it has been. But most of all, I'm really looking forward to Admiral Stavridis' remarks tonight. And I'm going to foreshadow or anticipate three of his themes tonight in some of my introductory remarks. So as you all know, CIR has been around for 51 years. 51 years for a nonprofit is quite something. And so I was thinking, 51 years, so that was 1965 when CIR came into being. And isn't it interesting to think about 1965 right now? So LBJ was in the Oval Office. The Supremes were the top of the charts. The biggest movie that year was The Sound of Music. Here's a nice fact. The world population was half of what it is today. Reagan, of course, was a film star. And only a film star. Nobody was dancing to disco yet or doing the moonwalk or knew what in the world Pokemon Go was. A very different time. And then if we take the thought experiment further and look at 51 years down the road, here we are in 2067. And I certainly hope CIR will be around in 2067. It's my job to help it be around in 2067. But what is the world, when we're in 2067 and we look back at 2016, what is it about today that's going to seem dated or quaint? Or more importantly, what are some of the seeds that we'll see that existed today that grow into the towering trees of tomorrow? And what will CIR's place be in that world of 2067? So that question, how does CIR fit into the future, has dominated a lot of my conversations so far. It's my task and my opportunity to understand the opportunities that sit in front of CIR and how we can take best advantage of those as we move forward in this world that is constantly moving. And of course, one of my biggest challenges is that we live in an incredibly confusing, changing world, which is really marked in particular by the dizzying pace of change. My firstborn was born 8 years ago, just before the iPhone was released. 8 years ago, and now everybody has one. I'm going to pull mine out as a little prop here because I think this is a tremendous symbol of our time and of our age. It's a symbol of a few things. It's a symbol of a global production chain. It's a symbol of incredible innovation. It's a symbol of a pinnacle of human technological achievement. But I want to pull it back even more and say it's a symbol of a world that is becoming incredibly interconnected and interdependent. We can say that the world is globalizing or shrinking or what have you. But I think the most important point to think about when we think about the world is that we as a human species are connecting and communicating in ways we have never, ever done before. People now meet their significant others online. People now work entirely online. People do their grocery shopping online. And this, in many ways, to me, still feels like the very beginning of what it means to live in this incredibly connected globe. Like we're still in its infancy. Even though, I kind of consider my phone as being a Swiss Army knife, we don't really use it to their full potential, not even close. We tend to use it for entertainment, for sending off a quick text to ward off boredom. I often use it for a handy flashlight. Sure, it's many things. But I think slowly we're realizing that our new tools and our new connection, our new spirit of connection is allowing us to understand things in different and much more profound ways. About the planet, about the environment, about government, about other cultures and other people, about how our lives at home connect in myriad ways to people, events, and ideas all over the world. And we're starting to understand that our new tools can open up worlds of information, which, in turn, can lead to informed action and change, to real and meaningful and sustained social change. We've seen an Arab Spring, for example, where phones and social media platforms toppled decades-old governments. I mean, think about that for a second. This was not something led by guns, by tanks, by armed coups. This was led by information and communication. So that represents a first step at humanity bringing these tools to bear for social change. What's the next step? And what's the step after that? Because knowing the human species, we will keep finding the next step. And I'm going to argue right now that what's next is a great shift in human consciousness, a great leap forward. Instead of only using our hyperconnection to share pictures of impossibly adorable kittens, we're going to use that hyperconnection to better understand our world and then to actually go about changing it. Because we can see and understand things differently now. We have data and evidence on all kinds of things, and we have access to that data and evidence with just a few clumsy swipes of our finger. But knowing is not enough. Knowing is a great start, but knowing is not enough. Now we know that, for example, in 30 years' time, there will be more pieces of plastic in the ocean than fish. Think about that one for a second. We know as well, when we open up our Facebook feed, our Twitter feed, or watch the evening news or read the morning newspaper, we know that there is tremendous human suffering out there. Every single day we see pictures and videos of people leaving their home and traveling across a continent to find the core things that human beings need to live in this world. We see famine, we see war, we see disease. And these are all happening to people right now, every bit as real as you and me. Our great leap forward is fusing this spirit of connection, this wealth of information, this knowing with action. Until we move beyond being passive consumers of information, we will remain numb and paralyzed by a belief that we are incapable of making any kind of change. But you and I in this room, we're different. We are. We're different. We've lived and worked and traveled abroad. We've seen some things. We speak multiple languages. We know that there are many different ways of organizing human society, of solving our collective needs for education, for health, for food, for shelter, for security, for energy. And all of us here tonight, we have all forged a significant part of our identity abroad. We've connected with another place, we've connected with other perspectives, and it's changed us. It's changed us profoundly. I would argue that's why most of us are in this room tonight, is because we want to connect with other people who have had similar experiences abroad, who have been changed by that experience abroad, and who view living in this country differently as a consequence of having lived and worked abroad. And I want to give you a key message here, which is that we live in Santa Fe, but we, all of us in this room, we carry the world with us. We carry the world with us, and that is our currency. That's what we can contribute to Santa Fe, this global knowledge, this global awareness, this global consciousness. That's the very best of CIR. And we must now convert that into leadership, into knowledge and education and action. We need to help this new generation, this much maligned millennial generation, this hyper-connected generation. We need to teach them how to inhabit this planet, because it's them, not us, who are inheriting the major challenges that we as a human race have not yet solved. We have unfinished business. And yet, we cannot teach them about the world that we know. We can't teach them about our experiences in the world. It doesn't resonate with them as much. They live in an entirely different world, and they live in a world that's getting more and more different from the world that you and I know by the day. But what we can teach them, what we are, is we are their elders. We can teach them values. We teach them values. Those don't change. So let's teach them how to be good human beings, how to be compassionate, how to be empathetic, how to connect to, understand, and care for others. Let's teach them that there is only unity in diversity. I'll repeat that one. There is only unity in diversity. Let's show them that there is so much more to being alive than being American or Canadian or Russian or Brazilian or Tanzanian, and that we will only create sustainable solutions when we, all of us, can talk about our own realities, our own dreams, and our own challenges. And make no mistake, our challenges today are incredibly transnational. To use one of Admiral Stavridis' terms from the Santa Fe New Mexican the other day, the problems that we have as a world are in the global commons, and thus our response must go beyond the abilities or perspectives or needs of any one particular country if we want to contribute to a solution. There's a right side of history and there's a wrong side of history. While building walls may seem a tempting fix, in this age of hyperconnection, walls are absolutely on the wrong side of history. The far more challenging, yet greatly more rewarding work lies in building bridges, in connecting. Given that the world is changing at a breakneck pace, and let me remind you that gay marriage is now the law of the land, legalized marijuana will be coming next, and how many in this room could have predicted that a few years ago? Change is upon us, and therefore we need to embrace this change. We need to help build the bridges. We need to connect our knowledge with our action to help build a world without human rights abuses, a world of sustainable economic growth, of religious pluralism, where the environment is protected and cultural diversity preserved, where there is no poverty, no conflict, where no matter who you are, no matter where you were born, no matter your race, your ability, no matter the God you do or do not worship, no matter the color of your skin, you have the very same opportunities in life. That's the kind of world I want to live in. Thank you. And best of all, this world is not a dream. These values are not illusions. These are goals. These are human ideals that we, the elders, we, the teachers, we, the global citizens, must set so that we have a destination and a purpose as we humans continue our long and fascinating march out of the savannah. We at CIR, we stand at the interface between Santa Fe and the world. And this is both a great honor and a great responsibility. So let's take that towards 2067 as a leader, as a visionary, as an organization that builds bridges, that connects, that empowers. In this room, we are women and men of the world. We are global citizens, each and every one of us. Whether we like it or not, we live in a hyper-connected world. And we know definitively that our actions and our inactions, our decisions and our indecisions have consequences a world away every single second of every day. So let's be that force for good. Let's exercise our rights and our responsibilities as global citizens and help move this planet towards ever more balance. So I invite each and every one of you in this room to join me in this pursuit, to stay a dynamic member of CIR, to be the change we need in this world. If you haven't yet volunteered your time to CIR, I encourage you to do so. If you haven't yet welcomed a foreign delegation into your home or taken them around this wondrous state, I encourage you to do so. And if you haven't yet donated to CIR, please consider doing so. Your funds allow us to stay relevant, to remain dynamic, to grow, and to reach new generations with our values and our message. Help us remain the force we are into 2067. And use your generosity. Vote with your hard-earned dollars to help build this world we all know that we can. So I invite you, join me, join CIR, join our movement, help us build it. Let's bring the world to Santa Fe and Santa Fe to the world. And let's make that connection count. Thank you.